Thank you very much for joining us for another version of Virtual Career Tuesday. This afternoon we have joining us Target, who, for those of you who don't know, are super partners with University of Connecticut and have been for an extended period of time. So we're super happy to have them here today. Today we have Sarah Woodcock and Nicolina Dahms. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's Dams, but it was close enough.
Oh, Dams. Damn. So, anyway, thank you both very much for joining us. I'm just going to go ahead and give a brief introduction. Unless the two of you would like to introduce yourselves, I'm happy to do it. I'll leave it up to you. Nicolina?
Yeah, I can introduce myself. So
Sure, great.
Dams. I've been with Target for 12 years now. I started off as a seasonal cashier, and then eventually, once I graduated, I promoted to a team lead, and then I did HR, and now I'm ETL HR of the Enfield Target. And I've been there for like 2 years now. So I've been doing HR for 4 years. I love it.
There you go. There you go. That's actually exactly what I was going to talk about, is that you started out as an intern, and that, but I didn't realize that you have been there for that extended period of time. So thanks so much. So Sarah, how about you? Care to share?
Yes. Hi, guys. I am Sarah Woodcock. I am the store director for our Windsor location in Connecticut. I've been with the company for about 6 years. I started as an intern off of Fairfield University's campus in Connecticut. Was an extended intern for an extra year, was an executive team leader up in Hadley, Massachusetts, and then was therefore promoted to store director. I opened our West Hartford location, our small format, and then I've been in Windsor for about 8 months now.
Great, great. So thank you very much for both of you for sharing. I'm not so sure if you want to go ahead and give a little overview about the positions that you're currently hiring for. I'm not so sure who wants to kick it off, but either one of you, or have at it.
Sure. So I'll kick it off. So I do recruiting for our district. So we are actively searching for interns right now. So if you are currently a junior, and next summer will be the summer before your senior year, then you are eligible for our internship. So our internship's a little bit different than a lot of other internships. It is not a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 desk job. You would be paired with an executive team leader who would ultimately be your mentor in a store. And it's an 8-week paid program where we're really going to work on developing your leadership skills. So what is cool about our internship is it can end with a job offer in August, and that job could be held for you throughout your senior year. And you would ultimately become an executive team leader with us once you finish school. So I think retail management's not often something that a lot of students think about. But I think Nicolina and I are both examples of people that have stayed with Target just because of the amazing company that it is and the culture that we have. And it truly is a fantastic program. So just a little bit more about the internship. Again, you're paired with a mentor and an executive team leader. You would go through all the different executive team leader options in our stores. So we have human resources, which is what Nicolina is. Mm-hmm. Assets protection really deals with shortage, theft, safety in our buildings, a lot of time behind the computers. Service and engagement is really focused on driving service and engagement throughout our stores and focusing on the front lane service desk, check lanes, etc. Specialty sales is a sales floor position focused on style, tech, and beauty. And then general merchandise is a larger role where you work on the unload process, the rest of the sales floor that's not part of specialty sales in Starbucks. So again, really focused on your leadership development. Yeah, fantastic program. I don't know if you want me to dive in more, if you want to ask follow-up questions, but I can kind of pause.
I think actually an overview is very helpful. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but obviously the harder part for us within our positions is oftentimes when we talk about Target, students automatically feel as though it's really that they're going to be working the cash register. So, you know, when you are interviewing students, what is it that you're actually looking for? Obviously, it's not their ability to use a POS system is not going to stand out. So maybe you could give us a little bit of highlights as to what makes students stand out.
For sure. So a couple of things. We love to promote from within, and we love students that potentially want to start a career with Target. So obviously it can be daunting when choosing an internship. You might not want to choose an internship and say, all right, I'm committing to this company for the next 10 years. So I'm not saying that, but I am saying that, you know, you might want to have the potential to grow with the company and have a job offer at the end of the summer and go come out of college as an executive right away. That's always exciting for us. But in terms of, strengths from stronger interns that we've had, open to feedback, strong communication, engaging, and that's just general feedback for any internship you're going to go for. If you can come in, kind of demonstrate your ability to communicate, be humble, ask questions, and again, be open to that feedback. That's definitely a big thing for us. But yeah, we love energy. We're a very high, fast-paced environment, and we move a lot. Again, this is not necessarily a desk job where no, you're not going to be ringing on register. We really want to work on how we can develop those leadership skills so that you could hopefully be sitting in my shoes or Nicolina's shoes someday, if that's something that you choose.
So just maybe a question for both of you. Give me a little bit of a broader paintbrush, if you would, as to what you majored in and how you utilized what skill set you brought forward, right? And what made Target appealing for you and also you for them.
Sure. So mine was a little bit different. I actually majored in international business and I minored in management and French. I was on track to do something in the international business world with French and kind of totally switched gears, but I was completely moved by my internship experience, which is what led me to stay with Target. I did really learn a lot in my management minor and have applied a lot of that, and actually just started my MBA last week in HR as well. So that truly is my passion. If HR is your passion, if marketing is your passion, whatever it may be, I feel like there is a small piece of lots of different business realms within our jobs. So even though I'm not an HR ETL anymore, there's still HR ingrained into my role. And I just learned a lot about being a leader. I feel like starting out as a young leader can be challenging, especially coming in at 21, 22 years old and attempting to lead a team of tenured team members that might have worked there for a long time or older than you, more experienced. There's obviously a balance in learning how to, approach that. But you end up learning so much. And I think the biggest piece of Target that I find the most attractive is that empowerment piece, as we're really big on empowering team members up to store directors, interns. How can we teach you how to be a leader and make smart business decisions that are ultimately impacting a multi-million-dollar business?
Ooh, well said. Well said. Sure. Nicolina, how about you? Care to share?
Yeah, mine is like completely different from Sarah's, but so I went to Westfield State and I majored in psychology and sociology. And my last year, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I was still working as Target just as a part-time team member. And when I graduated, they gave me the opportunity to develop and become a team leader. So I took that opportunity because I really love working for Target, and I love that all the opportunities they gave me and how flexible they were with me throughout school. So I did that, and then it helped me develop more leadership skills and just like Sarah was saying, becoming when you're graduating, it's hard starting out just because you don't have really a lot of work experience. So it definitely helped me develop leadership skills, communication, all of that necessary stuff for if you want to apply it to a different career later on, or if you want to continue to grow Target. I wanted to continue to grow. So from there, I went to a senior team lead. And then once I did 18 months there, then I was able to be promoted to ETL HR in Enfield, and I still love it. And I'm happy that that's what I chose.
Perfect. Very nice. So maybe you could actually talk a little bit, Sarah, about the position for you that obviously you're doing recruiting as well. So
Yep.
maybe you could talk a little bit about that as being another arm of what your current position is and how you have moved into that.
Sure. So yeah, Nicolene and I are obviously both part of our campus recruiting team. So we get to partner with schools like UConn, who's a fantastic partner for us. So this is something extra we do on top of our roles as ETL and store director. It's completely voluntary. I, again, have a passion for HR. I was actually never an HR ETL. I very much wanted to be, but my path is a little bit different. So this was kind of my way to get involved. I was in Nicolina's shoes when I was an executive team leader, and pre-COVID, we used to come to UConn a lot and do a lot of these events in person, but we've transitioned to Zoom, which I'm still grateful we can do that. But yeah, I just enjoy doing this on the side. I'm really passionate about training and development. That's a huge piece of what we do here at Target too. Again, I would not be here if I were not developed by my mentors. And I just find this is a great way to kind of give back to the program that I went through. So yeah.
Great. So not to get too far ahead of myself, because I think when you talk about mentors, maybe we could address that, but also address and talk about what the actual application process looks like from start to finish. Just
Sure.
provide a little overview of that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty it's the same pretty much from team member all the way up. So you would apply at target.com/careers. There is a specific application for interns. And then from there, you would go through our recruiter, Greg Pear. I'm not sure if any of you know him or have met him.
We do. He's a great colleague
sorry.
and friend. Oh, did the lights just go out, Sarah?
Yeah, sorry, I have automatic lights. Lost my train of thought. Sorry. So yes, Greg would definitely reach out to you. And from there, we would go through an interview process. So I do all of the intern interviews. We actually recently transitioned from a 2-step process to a 1-step process. So as of right now, it's only 1 interview. It's quick. It is very competitive. We only have 3 openings for our district. However, Connecticut is split into 2 districts. So depending on where you live, you could be closer to our northern side, which is my district, or the southern side. But again, it's pretty quick. We offered one last week, a day after it was done. But as of right now, we're still making a lot of decisions because it is very challenging when it gets down to those last 2 spots to make the decision. But you would know within about a month or so if you were chosen or not. So we try to make it quick. So that way, if you are looking into other internships, you still have plenty of time to apply for others.
So I know that it was put into the chat that we currently have your position posted on our Handshake site. So thank you very much for doing that. Let's go back just a brief moment when you said it's a 1-step process. So previously, I do know that that process was a phone screen perhaps, and maybe a video interview. But so for now, this situation is it's a one and done.
So I guess I should take that back a little bit. It changes. It depends on how you kind of meet Greg or how you fall upon this. So say you meet Greg at a career fair event of some sort. He might take care of some little pre-screen questions kind of informally. And then it would kick over to me, and then I just do the interview. So I guess in that sense, it might be a 2-step, but the formal interview process in terms of me filling out a guide is just a 1-step process. But again, it kind of depends on how you fall into this internship. We find most of our students through career fairs where Greg has already kind of done a pre-screen in person.
So made a connection. So
Yes.
I'd like to just, in case students listen to this at another point in time, obviously situations like this Virtual Career Tuesday provides you both with the opportunity to see what students are on, but also I think it's great for students to know that these are the kind of programs that initial contact, whether or not it's in person or virtually, are vitally important. So it's great to go ahead and important to go ahead and make yourself known at that particular point in time. You might not even know that your very first interview is that informal, right? So
yes,
there you have it.
I will say that connections are so important, Target or outside. LinkedIn is a real thing. Use your LinkedIn. And if you're not selected for an internship, that also doesn't mean that your career with that company is over. We also are hiring for executive team leader positions. If you're a senior that's graduating in January early or graduating next year, that's also something we're recruiting for. And just in general, don't feel like the door is closed just because you might not be selected for an internship. Connect with everyone and treat every single interaction as if it's, like you said, an informal interview.
Great. Well, that's great, solid information. Thank you very much for sharing that. So talk to me a little bit about, so the interview, but I did a little bit, jumped ahead of myself. So the standard resume for you, obviously for most students, internship opportunities, it becomes a little bit of a daunting process for them to go ahead and create a resume. What in your mind can you share with us is vitally important for students to have on their resume to be able to talk about, share their skill set, transferable skills? How do you want that showcased on a resume?
Target might be a little bit different from other companies. I feel like we get students or applicants from all walks of life, from all different areas of school. So while some companies might expect a business degree or expect something. That's obviously great for us because we're looking for leadership, but it doesn't have to look a specific way, I suppose. I think the bigger thing is just in your interview, how can you kind of portray what's written on your resume and turn it into, a real conversation? Can you kind of demonstrate who you are as a person? And, it's one thing to write down your action verbs on a resume, but how would you physically talk about them and communicate how those skills kind of play out in person, if that makes sense?
It does make sense. No, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's always a little bit of a struggle for folks to figure out, students, to create that one page, right, resume that's going to be enticing enough to get you in the door and get that interview. So it is important, and how it's presented is important, and it has to be factual. So there you have it. Be able to talk about it. So yes. So interview, internship, go through the internship. Mentoring, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So your mentor is kind of, well, I should say the executive team leader you're paired with is kind of your built-in mentor throughout that 8-week process. And if you were to be selected to stay on as either an extended intern or offered an executive team leader position, you would ultimately carry that mentor throughout, so to speak, even if you're not in the same store. And what I do love about Target too is just the ability to reach out to any one of your peers and kind of create your own mentors as well. If you're saying, I didn't focus enough on HR in my internship, I was not offered an HR ETL position, but that's something I want to do down the road, we could pair you with an executive team leader of HR, like Nicolina, for example, and kind of mentor you throughout. So yes, you do have a built-in mentor throughout, but there's also lots of other opportunities to create mentors throughout your time at Target, which is fantastic. One of my best friends was my original mentor, and we still talk all the time.
Perfect. Great. Ultimately, one of the things that you spoke about earlier is transferable skills, right? But being able to accept that feedback. So at the end of the internship, let's just talk about what kind of feedback, how is it presented, and no opportunity presented, what maybe could be next steps for students in a situation like that, so that really it ends on a positive note all the way around, and perhaps more opportunities might be open to them.
Yeah, so typically for Target, we kind of wrap up the internship with an intern walk, where the district senior director, who's my boss, and some of our business partners will come. And it's the intern's first chance to kind of present the business as an ETL or a store director would on a visit. So with retail, what we kind of work towards is having good visits. Again, if our corporate team, so to speak, were to come, for example, I got a CEO visit this summer, like, could you walk and present the business in a way that makes sense to someone who isn't in the store every day? So that's kind of where we're working towards that the whole summer, and being able to speak to the business in a tangible way. And then feedback kind of comes from that. Obviously, where the goal is for you to learn enough to feel comfortable to do that. And we kind of give feedback on the spot depending. But the good thing about Target too is that's not the only opportunity you get to receive feedback. You should be having meaningful conversations and statuses with your mentor, with other leaders in the building, with your store director every week throughout the process. So you know exactly where you stand throughout, and it shouldn't be a surprise at the end, one way or the other.
Excellent. So you know that this question comes up more often than not. Sophomores, I know you indicated right in the very beginning, right? But it comes up for us quite frequently, and I'd like to hear some feedback one way or the other from either one of you, what your words of wisdom would be for individuals who definitely want to apply as sophomores.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we cannot accept sophomores as an intern just because of the way our program works. We ideally like to kind of get you in the door as an executive team leader as soon as you graduate, and it just doesn't make sense the way our program works for you to wait between your junior year and then your senior year. If you're interested in Target, you're always welcome to apply as a seasonal team member if that's something you're interested in. But you can also just hold on to that thought until your junior year. I wish I had a better example. or a better answer, I should say. But unfortunately, we just can't take sophomores as interns because of the way our program works at the end.
So we have a question in the chat, and it is, are case competitions good way? Are case competitions good ways to connect with Target?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have one. I think it actually just got rescheduled from this Thursday to next week. But I also do the case competitions with Greg. Fantastic way. Again, you're welcome. I can put my information in the chat. You're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I could give out my email. There's lots of ways to stay connected, regardless of what year you are, if you're selected for the internship, etc.
Nice, nice. Yes, if you don't mind putting your contact information in the chat, that would be great. Thank you so much. Nicolina, how about from your perspective? Obviously a different, roadway, right, into your position. So can you share a little bit more in depth, maybe, maybe what your collegiate experience was and what your thought process was with Target?
So originally when I was going through school, I thought that I wanted to do more of like forensic psychology, which is why I majored in psychology. And then as I was kind of starting to go through those classes, I started to realize like it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be, and I wasn't really interested. And by that point though, I was like, I still really like psychology, so I was hoping that I'd be able to apply it to a different way. And I actually I still am like really connected with this my old boss, I guess you can say, but he was pretty much my mentor all throughout like college and like trying to get me signed off so I could be become a team leader when I graduated. So he really helped me through that, and it kind of helped me see that I really like went more like the business route of psychology than going obviously my old path that I thought I was going to do, which at first I was nervous because I already had gone through like half the year and I thought that was something I was going to do. So switching last minute, I was like, oh, I hope this works out, but it ended up working out good, especially when I graduated. I was able to go through interviews and I was getting prepped by my mentor, and it was really helpful. It's kind of like what the kind of questions they were looking for and like how you should answer the questions. So I thought that was very helpful. And then that's just kind of how my career took off.
Perfect. That's a really great segue into that. You know what? I love how both of you have shared very clearly that, your internships, your part-time positions actually were so helpful in helping you determine what path you actually wanted to take. And obviously the mentors played a huge role in that. So that's great. I'm curious to know if any of my team members have any questions. Anyone have any questions? Anything that we wanted to cover? Sarah, Nicolina, things that you wanted to cover that we didn't? Again, as I indicated, this is quick, but we just really wanted to be able to provide the content for students that are interested. So opening it up, I'll wait just a few seconds. Anyone?
I have a question. I'm always so intrigued by this program just because it's so different and unique from like a lot of the other things that are brought to us, like typical 9-to-5 corporate desk job. So would you say that like the culture you find in these roles differs by the store greatly, or is it like typically like one standard like attitude or culture within like the groups altogether?
I think it's yes and no. So what's great about Target again is Target really values culture and our team members. So our kind of motto is care, grow, win. We want to care for our team. We want to grow. We want to develop them. We want to win together. But what's also great is Target, as I mentioned before, is big on empowerment. So while we are a Fortune 50 company and obviously have corporate policies to follow, they do empower me, my team, all of my peers, and every team member across the company, every intern, to make business decisions that are right for each store, because we recognize that every store, every guest, every leader is different. So I think, yes, we all fall under this fantastic culture that Target is driving, but it also depends on your store director, because they do empower us to kind of be our own authentic leaders and drive the store culture the way we see best fit.
That's great. Thank you.
No problem.
I know I offered it to anyone else who has a question, so I actually want to ask another question primarily about location. So if I know that you are recruiting specifically for this region, but what happens if we have a student who is a who lives in Florida and actually wants to work at Target. Can you talk a little bit about that? What possibilities might be available to individuals who don't want to work within this particular region?
Yeah, absolutely. The beauty of Target is we are everywhere. So even if you did your internship here but wanted to be an executive team leader in Hawaii, we can make that happen. Or for your specific question, if you are on campus in Connecticut but live in California, we can reach out to a district in California and find you a spot for sure. Greg especially has a lot of connections across the company. But even without that, we have ways to get in touch with anybody. So we could place you in a store wherever is best fit for you. We want you to be as close as possible and have as short of a commute as possible.
Great. I don't mind commuting to Hawaii, so I think that my application is pending.
So
We
Hawaiian shirt, which is pretty cool.
So we do have another question, but I think you actually answered this. Is most of the internship on the floor or in the office?
I think it's a good balance of both. So if we're truly leading at a high level, like we're expected to, we spend our mornings looking at reporting, kind of taking in that information and then figuring out how that translates to what's happening on the floor. So for an example, if sales are down in sales are down in a specific department, could I walk on the floor with the team leader of that department and figure out, hey, what's going on here? Is there something we could re-merchandise? Or during your week in, human resources, could you help us identify some scheduling gaps that we could fix? Are you going to help with interviewing? Staffing is a big note of fourth quarter. So it kind of depends on where you're at, but I feel like it is a good balance of leadership tasks in the office and kind of absorbing what we're being sent or what reports we have, and then also being very hands-on on the floor and helping the team.
Perfect. And what is it like working with a team members of varying ages, age, and diversity? So I think, again, that you kind of covered that earlier. So, but if you have more that you'd like to add to that, feel free. But
yeah, I think, again, coming in as a young leader can be challenging, but what's beautiful about Target is the diversity inclusion piece. Like, we truly are diverse at our core. It's not something that our company, I feel, has to work for. It is truly, again, who we are, that care, grow, win piece. But it's just part of life. You're always going to work with people from different walks of life, of different ages. It's just getting used to that, and tailoring your message, I think, is really big. If in a store of 200 people, you have one message, but obviously everyone hears things or receives feedback or information a little bit differently. So I think the mark of a good leader is figuring out, how does this person understand what I'm saying versus how this person understands what I'm saying? And that kind of comes, I think, with time and experience for sure.
Sage advice, Sarah.
Can I add to that for a second? Because I may not have written my question quite the way I was thinking of it. But as a young professional going in and doing your internship and actually, having people who are older than you report to you that early in your career, I imagine that takes a little bit of experience, right? So can you talk about that for a second?
Sure, definitely a challenge, I would say. I think I made and continue to make fair share of mistakes sometimes. I think the biggest thing I learned from those early learnings is just being direct. Again, not beating around the bush. Again, as I mentioned, feedback is a really big thing for Target. So learning from an early point of how to give and also how to receive feedback is crucial, on top of that, tailoring the message. But again, I think just kind of having the confidence, knowing you were selected for this role for a reason, and that age is truly just a number. Well, yes, experience comes with time, and there's no way to kind of speed that portion up, unfortunately. You could still be a very successful leader at a young age, regardless of where you're coming from, especially if you're willing to kind of take in the things that you're learning and learn from your peers or your team that might be a little bit more experienced from you.
Well stated. Thank you. Yeah. Nice job. Well, in an effort of time, my goodness, we're right at 4:31. Unless there are any other questions, I really sincerely want to thank both of you for your time and energy. And our partnership with Target is strong and super beneficial to all of our students. So thank you for your partnership. We certainly appreciate it. And to those of you who are watching this at a different time, I hope that you think about Target as a place of starting out a career. So there we have it. Thank you both so much. Thank my team members and the students for joining us today. Please catch this on YouTube if you care to. Right, I think you can access it from our website. And I hope that we have a stellar rest of the evening. Get out there and enjoy some of this fall weather. Thanks, everyone. Take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.